We are in day one of the Revolt World Summit here in Atlanta, Georgia. This is the look, and I don't know where anything is from except for this top, which is from prettylittlething.com.us. Oh, I want to show you the bag. Hold on. So I had to show you the bag because the bag is just extraordinary. It's by a black-owned company called Haliq, Haliq, and it's just amazing in so many different ways. It's small, it's a mini, but I'm gonna do a proper unboxing of this brand. This bag was gifted to me and I'm gonna be doing an editorial with it. Kind of a gift guide, black owned bags, and I'm including this bag in that editorial, so look out for that. But Haliq is incredible. I mean, I just can't say enough about it. It's the details. I'm staying at the Starling Hotel in Midtown Atlanta. So I'm going to give you some clips of that too so that you can see the hotel and more on that later. All right, stay tuned. So with you two getting it out of the mud, you know, being black business owners, how do you feel about black business being part of the talk with the current election?
I think it's important because black businesses run the world. We're the most influential leaders. A lot of us don't understand our power, so you know this shows that the election, when black people stand up and show out at the polls who wins. So I feel like we're a big part of that.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna tell you something real and honest, right?
Do that.
Most of the most successful businesses in America have thrived off the backs of black people.
Yes, they have.
And black-owned businesses, right?
Yes, they have.
And we don't get the recognition. When I say we, I mean the collective of the organizations that start and like really their blood, sweat, and tears make other people successful.
Period.
So when you talk about the election, it's probably one of the hardest seasons for black-owned businesses right now. The economy is the worst it's ever been.
Yes.
People are losing their jobs. People are closing their doors.
Yes,
People
they
are trying
are.
to figure out money right now. So this election is more important than it's ever been, right? Especially because there's a black woman at the forefront. And I think that this speaks to the ongoing navigation that black people have always had to travel through when it comes to thriving, living, surviving. It's an ongoing fight that we've had to deal with. And I'm hoping that we can get over the hump when we put the right person in.
Oh, and the culture cap.
And the culture cap.
All right. Thank you both
Yes.
so much. Okay, y'all. So we're in, maybe this helps, day 2 of Revolt World Festival. Yesterday was a little bit of a cluster just because they were trying to get everything organized and finished. But I did secure an interview with Pinky Cole, who is just, she's breathtaking, but not only is she breathtaking, she's incredibly brilliant. And her husband as well. Shout outs to him. He's from Philly, so that's cool. I'm on my way there, but first I gotta make a quick TJ Maxx and Zara run. This is the look. So Air Force Ones, basic white on the feet. Sergio Tashini, this set is from, and then this shirt is from 6th of June, which was gifted from the company. Thank you to them. The bag is vintage, archive thrifted, Alexander Wang, and it is their Rico bag. So they're super popular Rico bag. Yeah, and the glasses are U-blends, and the hat is from Lids. So I'm going monochromatic. I love a good monochromatic look, and everything's lightweight because it's super hot in Atlanta. And yeah, that's about it. So I am on my way, and be on the lookout for more footage and behind the scenes stuff for me. Thanks for rocking with me as always.
Thank you.
All right, so with this upcoming election and everything that's going on in the news, one of the biggest issues that both candidates are talking about, regardless of what side they stand on, is reproductive rights. Obviously, with your music being so out there and bold about sex and a woman's right to choose, where do you stand on the issue?
I feel like women should have their rights. You
Okay.
know, this is my pussy, this is my body, so I support women having their rights. We came from a long time, like, where we couldn't vote, where our word didn't matter, you know, and we're the ones that birth these babies, and we're the ones that take care of these children. A lot of women take care of them themselves. So I feel like we should always have a right over our body, over our votes, how we live. You feel me? I'm very supportive of women's rights. Like, I'm a lady.
Absolutely. I'm here for it.
I'm not okay with not having a right to say what I'm okay with. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So this is my body. So yeah.
You know, Suki, one of the things that your fans love about you is the fact that you're very intelligent. And I think that oftentimes with the way that things are cut with producers and reality TV, we don't often get to see a lot of that aspect of you. We get to hear it in your music and in your lyrics, believe it or not. But we don't get to often see that on a lot of the shows that we see on TV.
Yeah.
One of the things that is interesting about you is your relationship with Dr. Umar Johnson. Can you talk a little bit about how you two came to meet each other and what's going on with the two of you today?
Well, I met him in Philly, and you know, I'm a big supporter of Dr. Umar.
Okay. And where do the two of you stand today? Is there a little bit of a romance going on, or is there just a friendship?
Oh yeah, it's a friendship. Like, of course.
Okay.
Because I was surprised. Like, okay, so people think that we dated.
People do think that you two dated.
I feel like everybody want to know who I'm dating. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I am the
Because
new
I mean,
it girl
you are
in town.
Suki with the good coochie.
Yeah,
you know
so
what I mean?
Right now, you know, like, everybody, all these niggas love me for real. So, you know, I'm just,
Including Dr. Umar.
I'm sure.
Okay.
You know, you see a real woman when he know a real woman when he see one. So, like,
And you definitely are a real woman.
I'm sure. Like,
Okay.
I love Dr. Umar.
Okay. And he loves you back.
Ask them. Shit, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, y'all. Day 3 of Revolt Fest. It is the last day. I am rushing for the shuttle. I did not have time to do a full stand-up. This is the look. Jeans, bag, everything. And I'm a little late. I hope the shuttle doesn't leave me. Gotta go.
When you talk about what's going to benefit the economy in the long run, it's going to be things that, like what Vice President Harris is talking about. 3 million new homes that she plans to build, $50,000 that she plans to give in tax credits to small business owners. Donald Trump only wants to give tax credits to the wealthy. That doesn't benefit working class, everyday, regular black people. I think that when we talk about these numbers, we need to also look at where are the strongest economies in the country and where are the most failing economies in the country. I'm from Louisiana, the 50th ranked state in the nation. If you want to see what Republican policies do, I invite you to visit us any day.
Talking points are cool, but let's get real. First and foremost, Seattle was the first city that went to a $15 minimum wage. I believe it was about 7 or 8 years ago. Do you know what happened to working people in the city of Seattle? Their hours were cut. Do you know why their hours were cut? Because the price per employee was so much higher that businesses had to start cutting back. People went from working 1 and 2 jobs to working 2 or 3 jobs in the city of Seattle. If you want to, hold on, Gary, now, I backed up. Now chill out for a minute now. Okay, now if you want to go to the other thing about the minimum wage, if we want to have that economic conversation, another thing to understand, the prevailing wage, the prevailing market wage right now is significantly over the minimum wage. That's actually the real impact when you look at the minimum wage at any point in time over the last 50 years, that the market wage is always over the minimum wage. The minimum wage is a wage for entry-level employment. So if, my kids are 21, 17, 13, if they have to go work in a restaurant or work on a construction site or work in a hotel or doing something like that, and by the way, in construction, you make a lot more than the minimum wage, just establish that. But if you're going to do that, they don't have the skill set to be able to demand a higher wage. That was the original purpose.
$7.25 an hour.
That was the original purpose of the minimum wage. And so I will tell you, and the economic data, really over 50 years now, has proven that the minimum wage is not really indicative of what people are making every single day. And actually, when you raise the minimum wage, what ends up happening is you start pricing out low-skilled labor. What's happened at Panera Bread?
So I want to know, is there truth to the concept and idea that Black women have to go above and beyond in a way that others don't, to kind of prove themselves deserving in a way that other people don't, in terms of having things handed to them? And I say that in a way that people are saying that they still don't know who Vice President Kamala Harris is. And I feel like, would they be saying that if Kamala Harris was, shall we say, another color? What are your thoughts on that?
So 2 different issues for me. So as it relates to not knowing her, I think that it's kind of like when Democrats are like, the economy is great, and everybody like, say what now? And the Democrats are looking at one thing, and they weren't hearing what most people were saying was the cost of housing is high, the cost of food is high. That is what their definition of it was. So when people say that they don't know Kamala Harris, one of the reasons at DNC that I decided to tell a personal story was because I was like, you can look up her resume and read about her. Like, you can learn whatever you want to know about her. But what I felt like they were saying is that they did not feel an attachment to her. When you think about Barack Obama and the Obama family in general, you could walk into any Black family's home and they had pictures like that was their cousin or their uncle hanging up because they had a certain affinity and connection to him, even if they had not met him. So for me, I wanted to make sure that people were starting to connect to her on a different level, because that's what I think they mean when they say they don't know her. They know who she is, but they didn't necessarily feel super connected to her. So that's that part of it.
Black women have to go above and beyond in a way that others don't, to prove deserving of things.
That's by far, this election is an example of that.
I thought so.
Because you have someone, when he was born, he was given $400 million. You have somebody else who probably did not have nowhere near $400 million and still don't.
Hello.
And so the fact that there's a debate about who's most qualified, when we know that honestly this guy has been nothing but a failure, but we would not accept, even again thinking back to Obama, they were not accepting of him wearing a tan suit. A tan suit. We have somebody that has 34 felony convictions, not allowed to operate a business in the state of New York, but somehow we think he should be allowed to operate the biggest and the best country in the world. He owes hundreds of millions of dollars in civil liabilities. He's been found liable for sexual assault. He is still facing so many other charges, and we know that he was the orchestrator in chief of January 6th, which was the outward expression of trying to tear down our democracy. We would never accept this of him. It's kind of like the movie A Time to Kill, and when they do the closing arguments and they say, now pretend that that little girl was white. Now pretend that the races were swapped.
Okay.
Would we be here? And we wouldn't. This wouldn't be a close election.
Okay. Last question. A new poll done by the NAACP shows that Vice President Harris still has work to do with black men. Why is that demographic not as supportive as black women when it comes to supporting her? And what do you think she can do to kind of sway that demographic more so in her favor?
I don't think that there's anything that the vice president can really do to sway them. As you just saw, I asked my good brother if I could put him to work. I think that black men have to talk to black men.
Yes.
And they have to create a safe space where they can be open and honest about whatever their concerns are.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I've heard a number of different things. There is a lot of misinformation. There are those that believe that Trump was this great criminal justice warrior when he wasn't. He was someone that signed into law legislation that was initiated by Democrats. Yes. Same thing with the stimulus check. I mean, these are things that we hear, but I think that there is this perception that the Democratic Party does so much for black women and never really speaks to or about black men. And so I think that there's a sense of neglect that they are feeling from the Democratic Party. And so there's a bit of resistance, but I think that there's also real misogyny that's happening as well. So I think that we need to start to refocus people and tell them that this election isn't about Kamala Harris nor Donald Trump.
Okay.
This election is about you and your future and your children and what will and won't be of those futures. And so I think that if we get them to redirect their attention, I think that they'll come along, especially since, the final point I'll make, one thing that I know does move the needle is letting people know that Donald Trump specifically wants to provide for criminal immunity when law enforcement goes out and kills one of us.
Exactly.
That alone
I
moves the
said
needle
that.
from what we can see.
Right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure. Hola. First of all, congratulations on the new book. Amazing, amazing work as always.
Did you pre-order?
Yes, I did.
All right,
Of
show
course, I follow directions. Well, I can't because the phone is over there and it's
Okay,
recording
okay.
us. But you'll have to take my word
I
for
believe
it,
you,
okay? Are you sure you believe me?
Yeah, I believe you. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take your word for
Okay.
it too. Let's talk a little bit about some of your past interviews in which you've been very open about your experience in the industry being a black stylist.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I love about you is that you've been very real and also very blunt about how you've been treated in the past when it came to pulling things for the client that we all know and love that you've just kind of been made famous about, which is Zendaya.
Yeah.
You've talked about the fact that before she became the fashion icon that you made her, that she also made herself.
Yeah.
There were a lot of designers that didn't want to let you pull for her.
Yeah.
And so now you are kind of like, well, we're good for this season. We're going to pass on that.
Yeah.
What advice can you give to young black stylists who are just starting out that run into that same problem?
Well, I think what everybody needs to understand is that because of social media, the world has become a lot smaller, and there is so many beautiful clothes in the world that you don't have to chase these major houses anymore, right? You don't have to play by their rules. You can actually give somebody a chance, use your platform to give somebody else a chance to elevate their platform. And when you do that, you start to build this synergy, which actually really turns into a family. And you never know, you might have just given that opportunity to the next Marc Jacobs or to the next Michael Kors. So I think once we get out of the training that white is right or white is better or we have to have this, then we'll start to see that there's so many other opportunities, and we built our careers on using emerging designers and smaller brands and people that no one had ever heard of, and those people, we still celebrate them, and we've been able to become part of this ecosystem that kind of supports each other through.
That's so true. We know that the previous election having to do with even Barack Obama, and then in the 60s, the Kennedys, fashion became a part of the ecosystem of politics.
Yeah.
What is your opinion about the current election having to do with Kamala Harris and even Donald Trump in terms of fashion, do you predict, as a king of fashion yourself, that fashion and style, because we know the two are different, will play a role in this upcoming election?
Well, I think that the fashion industry has a huge voice and has the ability to touch a lot of people and educate a lot of people the same way that music does.
Yes.
And I think that is just really important for us that's in this industry to use our platforms to educate and inform, especially new voters, because I think that's what's going to really turn the tides in this election is people who've never voted before. And so we just have a responsibility to use our platforms to do that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so
You're
much.
very
I
welcome.
appreciate
Thank
you.